Presidents have the power to make big decisions, and they don't always go through Congress. I'm Nagel, your neighborhood reporter, and I'm breaking down executive orders, what they are, how they work, and why they can sometimes stir controversy.
The executive branch and the president has constitutional authority to issue directives through what's known as executive order.
Ian Anderson, a professor of political science, says executive orders have historically been used by presidents to speed up legislation.
I think even during COVID, for example, there were those payments, the stimulus checks that were going out. That got bogged down in Congress, and President Trump had to actually use executive action in order to move that forward.
Some executive orders have made history. In 1863, Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation, which freed slaves in Confederate states. And in 1935, FDR created jobs for millions through Executive Order 7034 during the Great Depression. And while these orders carry the force of law, they do have limits.
But they can't necessarily undermine existing law or undermine constitutional authorities.
Anderson says once an executive order is signed, it can be hard to reverse unless Congress passes a new law, which he says rarely happens. But it did a few years ago in a high-profile case.
President Biden and the loan forgiveness piece of it. So that was challenged. It actually ended up going up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court ended up ruling that the president had exceeded his authority.
Even when Congress doesn't intervene, states can. They can sue the federal government, arguing violations of the 10th Amendment, which protects state powers.
But what you're really seeing, the battle between California and the federal government, is the authority of the federal government to implement immigration policy.
Executive orders also last from one administration to the next, but a new president can overturn them with new orders, a common move in areas like environmental policy.
And ultimately, if you're seeing all these executive orders come out, whether it's President Trump or President Biden or former President Barack Obama or whatever, right, you have the power to make change every election as well. So these are some of the things that we should be using to evaluate whether or not government is working for us.